Okay, we're both recording here, and this is here and now for sure. We're always here and now. We've been going here now, for more than 4 years. And somehow I think what we're talking about here is filtering out into the movement. Seems
Good.
to be percolating in some way, that we're actually having an effect so that there's some direction being given to the movement, rather than it being this glorious, spontaneous eruption of emotion, which it is and which it should be, but it needs analysis as well, in
Right.
spite of pure as the driven snow. Okay, sure, everybody has good intentions, but we have to know what we're doing, and we have to know what we're doing together, not just as individuals, which is, what the movement seems to have remained up to this point to be. So, people go to demonstrations, but when they go to demonstrations, they think that they are going to a demonstration. They, as an individual, they're participating in demonstration, and they might even go so far as to actually make a placard of their own. Fine. But that's still individual stuff. Now, to get all the individuals together into collective, that's where the power comes from. People's power, collective power, common to all. So that's what I'm looking forward to, in terms of the results of the analysis that we're putting out here. Um, you have a speech from Stanford, that needs to be shared. I understand that I haven't seen yet myself, and it must be very important because you have it ready to go. So,
Well, yeah, thank you. Let me just let everybody know what's going on here. This is the Stanford graduations about 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. And like I said, Google CEO spoke at Stanford's graduation. Now, that's hope. Does everybody know what Stanford is? Maybe they don't know.
no, they don't know.
It's a
I don't know.
very, it's a very elite private school. Um, in what they call the peninsula part of the San Francisco Bay Area. The peninsula is a peninsula that extends from San Francisco south about 40 miles. And I found out historically it was populated by wealthy San Franciscans who thought that San Francisco got too hot in the summertime. So they began to migrate south to create summer homes and cottages. So
Uh,
that's how the peninsula was formed. I learned that from a teacher. And Stanford it isn't blue blood money. I don't know how it initially got its money, but Leland J. Stanford was the creator of the school. The Hoover Institute, which is a conservative historical artifact center. People like Condoleezza Rice,
hmm,
former U.S. Secretary of, I think if she wasn't Secretary of State, she was on the National Security Council. So it's
hmm.
a real conservative place, but it has this progressive image. How I don't know. Uh, and I mean, for example, 3 years ago in San Francisco, there was a movement by the then superintendent to shut down 10 schools. Guess who did the analysis and research for him to reach that conclusion? Stanford. But it never was exposed. It was like Stanford was there, but when came tumbling down and he lost his job behind that attempted school closure, Stanford's name was never associated with it. So they have a way of getting involved in things, but pulling back. They started Silicon Valley. Stanford University started Silicon Valley.
Oh,
That's how powerful they are. Think
mhm,
about that. They started Silicon Valley.
hmm.
Um, the medical school is pretty renowned. There are a bunch of hospitals in the area. And if a person goes to Stanford University, you will get a job. If you don't get a job, Stanford may call and find out why you didn't hire our graduate. They might do that actually.
Hmm.
So they're one of those kind of schools that if you leave there, to go there is to establish yourself academically. When you leave, there's like coming out of Yale or Harvard. No one can say you don't know nothing. Just the name itself connects you with knowledge, whether that's true or not.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so it's I'm not taking away from its academic prowess or importance because there's some pretty sharp professors teach there. So it's a pretty big campus to be a private school. But there was some really heroic struggle against Zionism and against apartheid in Israel came out of Stanford a few years ago.
Mhm.
And there was a trial of activists. I don't know the outcome. I should, but I don't. I can find out. I'll just go on the internet. They were charged. They had taken over a couple of buildings. Um, wasn't any violence, but for Stanford to have an occupation, it's kind of like, whoa, whoa. Stanford's occupied. It's kind of like Berkeley. They're both in the Bay Area, and they're pretty powerhouse schools as far as their academic reputation, and within the United States and really within the world. So when they have demonstrations of their students, when people say, "Whoa, what's happening here?" Because the average American student cannot enroll in those schools. The average American student will not be accepted there to go to college. You ain't getting in. So there was a trial recently. The trial ended, and many of the graduates at the time of the trial, before the trials, if I'm not mistaken, Stanford was one of the schools that was either denying the students their degrees they had earned. They really were given some punitive measures. These students who organized there, or there was some retaliation, educational outcome retaliation if you participate in those demonstrations. So these are the people. This class had those activists in it, and this speech by the alternate graduation ceremony valedictorian expresses that they're militants. Here you go. And its money continue to be agents of violence, and Stanford and Google expect a swarm of Stanford graduates to file eagerly into their ranks. But we, as Stanford students, are uniquely positioned to stop the escalatingly bloated military industrial complex and the plume of devastation that it leaves. We are groomed here to join in these exploits of this never ending cycle of extraction and disposability, as if it is some kind of honor for the brightest minds of a generation. We know that the hand that invites us to collaborate in the decimation of our own communities and ecosystems is precisely what we must attack. We know that obedience to their global missions of control and extraction will not protect us from the decimated earth and economies that they leave in their wake. And so we cut off their access to our minds, our labor, our time, and our campus. We disrupt the military technology pipeline, which runs through every department, classroom, and dorm. From every department, job sector, and subject, we, the students, will take back our education from the bloodstained hands of Google, Stanford, and their cooperators. If we allow ourselves to sit in a classroom talking about the world's most pressing issues as an exercise of intellect, we succumb to their eventuality. Studying climate change or human rights without doing something is like studying the rate at which someone burns alive. It's awfully sadistic. And so we must do something, believe something, engage in what it means to be a participant. It might mean being wrong, being accountable, but it always means being there. Graduates, loved ones, comrades, allow yourself to be compelled, not by moral enrichment, by the feeling you get from participating in the creation of our world in a just world. Stanford and its money continue to be agents of violence, and Stanford and Google expect a swarm of Stanford graduates to file eagerly into their ranks. But we, as Stanford students, are uniquely positioned to stop the escalatingly bloated military industrial complex and the plume of devastation that it leaves. All right. Cool.
Okay.
That was the speech.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting. A revolt from an internal revolt in the academic elite, at least. Certainly
Yeah,
not.
elite, elite. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So that means that they're losing control. They're losing control of their apparatus of operation, the apparatus of the state. Uh, at the same time, the MAGA campaign of Trump is taking control of the state and dismantling.
Yeah, we have another video about that. A really disgusting video about an event that occurred yesterday, the 250th anniversary of the United States signing, I guess, the Declaration of Independence,
Yeah.
and a group of white national chauvinist racists. Well, here, let the video speak for itself. I think if
Okay.
you see it, you'll be able to get a good sense of what we're talking about here.
I
We'll
only
go
saw the
ahead.
Washington ceremony with Trump, and that was disaster. You got hit by lightning.
Isn't that something? Hmm.
March on Capitol. March on the Capitol?
Yeah, watch it.
Everyone needs to see this photo. Today, on America's 250th birthday, thousands of white supremacists are marching our capital, chanting slurs, flying the Confederate flag, and calling for the reclamation of America by the white man. This is a photo taken by Reuters of the white supremacists traveling to the Capitol on the DC Metro. In the middle of the sea of white supremacists, we see a lone black woman commuting, surrounded by a sea of people who do not think she deserves rights. A sea of people who do not think she deserves to be in this country, and frankly, a sea of people who probably don't think she deserves to be alive. But unlike this black woman, these white supremacists are too cowardice to reveal their identities, wearing masks, glasses, and caps. And while this sea of cowards were traveling to our capital to protest for one of the most explicitly degenerate and dangerous ideologies that has existed in history, this lone black woman sat there unmasked to face it all.
And nobody would sit beside her. Wow.
That's a very astute observation. Nobody will sit beside her. Very good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to know who she was. We'll probably never know it.
Yeah.
Well, just those are those kind of pictures that you get,
Yeah.
about the reality of Black life. And the third video, which I thought was a good reality of Black life, related to this is, um, one second. Yeah. This one here. This is kind of a sad one here. Here we go.
Ah, 1940. Wow. 4 cents a pound for cotton? 4 cents? Oh, now that's the kind of information that hasn't gotten out before.
So that child, if you look at how that child walks,
Oh,
they
yeah.
could be no more than I want to say they're more than three, but because they are kind of tall, 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. Doesn't look too happy about it either. It must be
No,
hot
no,
out there.
what am I doing here? This isn't fun. But they've learned how to pick cotton at 4 years
Yeah.
old.
Wow. A
Can we?
huge bag trailing after him as well.
Yeah, we'll throw it up. So if that's the 1940s and they were 3 or 4, that means that maybe they're still alive, 60, 70, maybe 80 something. Maybe they're still
Yeah.
alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Wow.
that's the backdrop to the black woman sitting in the in the van, this train. She couldn't be but 20 years older than him at most. 24, 25. Maybe she's 19. Look, she's 19, 20 to me. Mhm. He's here, the white supremacist. I mean, all and they dress like if everybody says that this group they call themselves Patriot Front. Now their
Oh,
leaders were part of the group that had tried to overthrow the government and
right.
make sure Trump stayed in power on January 6th. They got big jail time, and Trump pardoned every single one of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them was pardoned, released from jail, and probably their records expunged. And they had a march yesterday down. Now that wasn't the only march in D.C. We have to be clear about that. That wasn't the only march. There people, D.C. was full of people yesterday for
Mm.
4th of July. It always is, but they were prominently displayed with the masks on, the caps, and the sunglasses. They look like FBI agents. Many people think they are FBI agents in this group, but
Mm.
how many thousand or how many hundreds showed up, I don't know.
Mm. Mm.
Yep. They feel that I went and looked at one of the videos last night from the Oklahoma branch, and they were saying basically that the Indians, quote unquote Indians, got what they deserved for not adhering to the treaties that they signed, and
Oh,
there was a massacre of some Native people in Oklahoma in the I want to say 1890s, and that they
right.
pretty much got what they deserved. That Custer had to wipe them out.
Oh, yeah.
So so that's who they are.
Yeah. But it still strikes me, like so weird, 1940, and this baby collecting at the rate of 4 cents a pound of cotton. A pound of cotton is a lot, cotton is not heavy. You have to pick a lot of cotton to get that 4 cents. Now, I mean, like what's the difference between that and slavery? 4 cents? Not much of a difference. 4 cents. Oh boy. Incredible. Uh, okay. I have a video of joy to counteract all that misery. And this is from Montreal. In English, it's called Montreal. But it's actually, Montreal, a French speaking city, but everyone here is bilingual anyway. And when I first came here to Montreal to finish off my doctoral studies at the Université du Québec à Montréal, the University of Quebec in Montreal in English, uh, and there was this, just a few drummers, who were coming to play together, on Sundays on the mountain. We have a mountain in the middle of the city here because we're an island city, huge island, but right in the middle of, the St. Lawrence Seaway. And there was, like three drummers, and then some dancers came, to dance, to get, and you know, so it started off like that in 1986. And then we moved it down to the monument. Now, this monument is very important. I'll show it to you and explain it to you. And then in the years following, thousands of people came to listen to this Tam Tam Festival, and many came to dance as well. And the number of drummers, just exploded. And there was like sometimes we were receiving three different groups of drummers, playing in their own corners of the area. Here, let me show you this. Yeah. People who haven't been in Montreal before, will find this to be amazing. And here we are. Okay. So this monument in the back here, okay, in brass lettering here embedded into the stone, in French, of course, but I'll translate it for you. It says, Canada must be a country of rights, and all of these are protected by the law. This is like a constitution decree. And then over here, where there's a woman holding a sword, a tableau in which the program of the overthrow of the aristocracy that had embedded itself in Quebec under French colonial rule. So the seigneurial system, as it's called, with the big landowners was abolished, and the land was divided up amongst the peasants. And the Quebecois made the revolution then in 1937. And this was a parallel revolution to the same revolution happening in Toronto, in Ontario, in English Canada. And there was a rebellion there as well. But it made much more headway here in Quebec. And some of the leaders of that revolution, like Cartier, uh, became prominent politicians in Quebec. And this monument is called the Cartier Monument, but actually it's a monument to the Revolution of 1837. And watch it take off. Yeah. Wow. All right. That's the first time I've seen it in its entirety.
Thank you for
This
that.
is, and all, these drums here, these are African drums called djembes. That's what the
Yeah,
whole festival is built upon, the African theme of these drums, these djembes. And then a lot of people have learned, to play djembe, Montreal, it's part of the whole Quebecois culture now. It's just
that's good.
everything. Yeah.
That's good.
And
Thank you for
thousands of
sharing that.
people are on the grass all around here, like on both sides, filled with
Thousands,
people and
thousands,
families. Yeah.
yeah, thousands of people. Incredible.
Yeah. And that started, when I first came in '86, that's with three drummers and two dancers. That's how it started off in the corner there. And then went down to the monument and it blew up into a full-blown people's festival. And then all the artisans, artisan makers, they come, they set up little spaces on the side there on the sidewalk around that square,
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what they
and
do.
and that's how they live. They sell their works. And those dancers, wow, they're the best. I've been seeing them before. Usually it's women are dancing, and me. I've been there. Yeah. So, that's what I wanted to show you. So a touch of joy there that we
Yeah.
need.
Oh no, no, it's very important to balance our presentation and show people making progress in the cultural arena, that kind of thing. It's very important. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're good for today. What else
Okay.
do we need to say?
Well, we'll have more on the Israel, United States war against Iran, the role of the Houthis again are standing. We have some more stories we'll have for you next week from that part of the world.
Yeah,
And
that's going to develop
also
into something, I'm sure.
also what's happening with some laws have been some new facts have come out about Stephen Miller. That came out this morning about his role in promoting a racist campaign against black people, claiming black people were attacking Asian people. So
Hmm.
what's more about that coming up too?
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. Okay. That's good for now then. That has been Steve Struggle speaking there, Panther Elder from the United States of America. And I'm Dr. Abraham Weisfeld here for the moment in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And we're here now. And this date today, I think we're the 5th of July in
Yes.
2026. Okay, so
Yeah.
now we've
Yeah.
got this video date stamped as well. so we know where we are and where we're going. And that's all we need for the moment. Okay.
Thank you.
Bye for now.